Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm your host. Tonight we have a very interesting topic, understanding a power of sale transaction in real estate. It's a great honor for me. My friend Brian Madigan is our guest panelist joining us to share his experience. So I'm going to introduce you to Brian. Please speak 1 minute to tell everybody about you.
Okay, well, I'm a real estate broker with RE/MAX West in Toronto. I'm on the commercial committee of the Toronto Real Estate Board, Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, which is the new name. And I've been in the business for 15 years. Prior to that, I was in venture capital and practice law for 25 years before that. So I have a fair amount of experience in that regard. So the two other things that I do, other than actual real estate transactions, would be I have a number of educational courses for real estate agents, and then I serve as an expert witness in courts when someone is suing a real estate agent.
Again, thank you very much for your sharing. Viewers, today we are talking about power of sale. You might have heard about power of sales and also foreclosures. So we're going to talk about the definition. But first of all, we want to know what is the process of a power of sale in real estate in the province of Ontario. So could you, Brian, enlighten us a little bit about the process?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, what we have is a mortgagor has gone into arrears in the mortgage for one reason or another.
They defaulted on payment, basically.
They've defaulted on payments, and
Yes.
they've now got behind in their payments.
Yeah.
So the Mortgages Act itself provides for 35 days in arrears.
Okay, 35 days, okay.
Then the mortgagee has to give out 15 days notice. So basically within 50 days, a very sharp mortgagee watching their rights could jump into action and institute power of sale proceedings.
Yeah, so basically the main factor is that if the borrower is not paying payments,
Yes.
and that triggers this power of sale unless they take action.
Well, it's not only its payments, but any breach of the mortgage provisions. So if someone, for example, had a house and they took down part of it, planning to renovate, that's a breach of the conditions of the mortgage. And they would...
so basically structural changes, basically.
Absolutely. So you need the permission of the mortgagee to do that. So even though your mortgage is up to date, you're not allowed to destroy the property, so to speak.
Because it all has to do with the appraised value of the property, because if it's reduced or done, modification requires...
well, this is in the opinion, of course, of the mortgagee.
Yeah.
And so if you... Now, the question really is, who is the mortgagee?
Yeah.
If you had a bank or trust company or insurance company, they're institutional mortgagees. Yeah. And so they're more sophisticated, and they would have certain views. On the other hand, someone quick to action could very well have a smaller second mortgage. So if you bought the property 2 years ago and you have a 5-year mortgage with the former owner, they may be quite anxious to get their money back.
So you are saying that even the second mortgage can trigger also default?
Absolutely.
If there is a default payment on the second, even
Yes.
though it's a small segment of the total?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. This is...
So they have the same rights.
So viewers, when you are borrowing money to buy the property, when you are signing on an agreement, there is a provision there. We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
Over there. So that means if you borrow money and a short money for a short period of time to close the deal, and you went to a second lender, and probably second lender will have a second priority and higher rates. And then you, in that period, defaulted on that payment, that can trigger the power of sale.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, no question about
So
that.
that means that means we come to the next question is, what are the mortgage and loan enforcement provision in the agreement that trigger this?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is the mortgage. Each mortgage is individual.
Yes.
So every institution will have slightly different terms.
Yes.
Aside and apart from that, there are standard charge terms.
Yes.
Mortgage being referred to as a charge now.
Yeah.
And what they will provide is have certain rules under the Mortgages Act. So what we do find is that many institutional mortgages will have a longer period of time for default. So rather than 35 days to trigger it, it'll be 45 days. Okay. But again, it's a very, very short period of time. It's not that long. Yeah. So most of the banks, most of the Schedule A banks use the 45-day rule. Yeah. And that'll be actually in their charge. But any default, not keeping the payments up, not paying your taxes, for example. So if you are obligated to pay your municipal taxes and you fall into arrears, that's a breach under the mortgage.
Wow. So that means our viewers, if you have a house and you have a mortgage and loan, you are responsible to fulfill all the obligations. So they must, when they're going through a lawyer to complete a transaction, they must read through it, understand what they're signing.
Absolutely. Now, it can also be that you put somebody else on title. So every mortgage is different, and there could be a provision that says if you add someone else on title, so all of a sudden brother, sister, mother, friend, and they're added onto the title, that's a breach of the mortgage. Or if you get a secondary loan and it's registered against the title to the property, so that might also be. So what the first mortgagee is looking to do is control the property and not have secondary financing on it.
So viewer, in this point of view, when you take a mortgage and you close a deal, the bank probably maximize the appraised value of the property against the loan to ensure that they are protected, except that
yes.
they will keep some conservative value, about 20%, less than $1 million,
right,
to protect their interest in case fluctuation in value.
Yes.
So that means if you are going to get a line of credit or any loan and use the building property as a leverage to get the loan, you better talk to your lender.
Oh, absolutely. So if you're looking for further financing, you better have permission from your own existing first mortgagee to do that.
Yeah, because bank is not going to give you money if they cannot protect their money.
No.
And especially in this case, when you are on a conventional mortgage. If it's a secured loan through CMHC, maybe a little bit different story, but still everything applies. But if you are on a 20% conventional mortgage, and then those are, bank take the risk.
Yes. Generally speaking, of course, most institutional lenders, they're simply operating with a file, and they have a file in the office.
Yeah.
And as long as the payments are coming in, they are not concerned about it. But every year they will ask, show us your tax bill and prove that you've made all these payments over the last 12 months. And so sometimes that triggers something that, oh, you haven't paid your taxes. We'll either add it to the mortgage and pay the taxes ourselves, which they do most of the time, or alternatively, they're going to be very, very concerned and place that particular mortgage in the high risk category. The other thing, viewers, that you have to watch, that the bank is watching you to make sure that you are returning the payment with interest. And if you have challenges with your payment of MasterCard, Visa, or other loan that you pay, it's going to show on your credit report. Absolutely. And I think you have given consent to the lender to check your credit report anytime they'll see some movement or something is happening in your credit report, and they may trigger you to an inquiry to check your credit and get some answer from you to make sure that not you are leaning toward default. Yes.
Correct? It's something
they can certainly monitor that. Now, normally, of course, they don't bother.
They don't bother.
But what you don't want to do is something that just throws them off. And annually, certainly there's the question, have you paid your municipal taxes? That comes up every year.
Yeah, anytime you apply for a loan, the CRA tax comes number one priority, municipal tax comes top priority. Anything that is legislated, a tax system, owing to the government or the municipality, that comes in liability. Also, if you have done some renovation, improvement, and you didn't pay a contractor, he put a lien on it, when they register a lien on it, does it trigger any kind of alert to the vendor when they're checking the?
Well, if they check the title, so they could check it now quite easily. It used to be that it was necessary for them to send a title searcher out to the registry office.
Yeah.
And so if the lenders were downtown Toronto and the property were in Peel, they'd have to send someone out to Brampton registry office. Now, of course, it's all on computer.
You go to
And they can check immediately.
You can go to Geo Warehouse and pull
Exactly.
out all the report.
They can find that information out right away.
So, viewer, this is very important that when you default on payment or you are delinquent in payment of mortgage or maybe line of credit, mostly people have a home equity line.
Yes.
It's the same thing because home equity line has to do with the appraised value of your property. If you are maximizing that amount and you have no more leverage left, or you are borrowing a loan against the property for some other purpose, helping your children, something, you have to really plan everything to make sure whatever you're doing, the more you draw money against the line of credit or the mortgage payment, is going to increase your liability. It's going to create more debt for you. So that means if you are becoming more risky, when they approve your mortgage for a certain amount, and now you use all that credit that was given to you, so you are in a little bit raising your concern. So that's why the bank will be doing the due diligence, check your report to make sure the property value has increased. That gives you a little bit leverage in a home equity line, but the mortgage stays there. If you keep paying it, your principal will increase. So sometimes line of credit equity line is balanced out with your mortgage, because the more you pay, the principal is added to your line of credit. But they're watching you to make sure that their money is protected. So this is a very concern and very due diligence that they do to protect their interest. So we are viewers asking you, are you monitoring your financials? Are you checking your credit report once in a while? Are you doing your payments? Are you spending too much money on things that will affect your ability to borrow more money for necessity rather than luxury item? So be careful about it, because this can all trigger a concern to the lender, and if you show a default, then obviously the process of power of sale will proceed. According to Brian, you're looking at about 50 days, and then we're going to talk about the process of that. How can we stop this power of sale process?
There's really only two ways. So contact the bank immediately and indicate what the difficulty is.
Yes.
And I think that they would be very, very reasonable if you offered a suitable excuse. A suitable excuse right at the moment would be, I'm behind in my payments on my mortgage on my house because I operate a restaurant and it's been closed for many, many months due to COVID, and I'm struggling. And so under those circumstances, the bank is going to say, well, look, you're going to have to enter into a deferral arrangement. We'll speak about that, and we'll just add we'll add 6 months to the length of the mortgage at the end.
Absolutely.
That sort of thing. Now, if you don't contact them and you have no permission, then you're at risk, and you've got to come up with the money prior to the bank actually selling the property.
On this point, I will share my experience with you. When you, let's say, because when the federal government announced deferral payment for the mortgage, they allow up to 6 month deferral payment. That means you are not paying no mortgage, no principal for 6 months. What happened is what the bank is doing they're not extending your mortgage period. What they're doing is whatever you are supposed to pay for 4 or 6 months that you have not paid, they will add it to the remaining period. Your payment will increase to pay for that period. Within the same period, same amount they were supposed to receive it, but they defer it to you. And please make sure that you have a consent of the lender before you stop paying your mortgage, because
absolutely.
If they don't have a consent and they have not approved your deferral, you can go to default. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Because lots of people think that, oh, it's a government program, so let's do it and not to start paying without applying for it.
Yeah, having continuous conversations with the bank is really a very good thing in that regard.
Okay, so what is the second one?
Well, the second one is to pay it off. That's your only alternative. How do you stop it? You're given the opportunity to pay up the arrears. So that opportunity is extended for a period of time where you can jump in and just pay off what's outstanding, the payments you haven't made. So while the principal becomes due. So if you've got a mortgage, for example, and the interest are a few $1,000 per month, but the mortgage principal is $500,000. All of a sudden, by reason of failing to pay one payment of $2,500, you're in arrears. Yeah. Now you owe $500,000 plus the $2,500. Now, what the rights are under the Mortgages Act is an opportunity to just pay up the arrears. The arrears, of course, is the $2,500 payment. So now it's not just the arrears, it's also the mortgagee's expenses related to that.
That's right.
So sometimes that can be bothersome. One of the things is that some mortgagees are absolutely thrilled and delighted, and it's part of their business plan, that they will loan money to people that they think might struggle and might miss a payment. Nothing makes them happier than you being in arrears by one payment, because you say, okay, $2,500, I'll get it. I didn't have it this week, but I might have it next week. This is somebody, let's say, in the construction industry.
Yeah, of course.
And so they don't have control over the amount of money they receive. So they were expecting money this week, they didn't get it, they didn't pay their mortgage, and they fall in arrears. Well, one of the things that these secondary lenders will do is they will jump in and say, okay, take as much time as you want, no problem, but when you go to pay us up, we'll send you a bill. And it's not $2,500. All of a sudden, it's $7,500.
Yeah.
Because they've got $2,500, plus they've got fees related to sending out a notice, et cetera, legal fees and so on. And so you're now having to pay $7,500. So one of the things is they're absolutely delighted when that happens. And whereas a regular Schedule A bank would not charge excessive amounts.
Yeah, so viewers, as you know, when you are trying to stop this power of sale, you have options to pay back outstanding money with expenses to the lender, and you are off the hook. How do you get the money? You have avenues. You can talk to the family members if they have resources, because you are desperate, you lost a job, you may not qualify for the mortgage, and you have a significant amount of equity in your house, and you don't want to lose that. So what is the best option for you is to safeguard your equity. If you are able to locate a friend or family member who can pay off the mortgage, and maybe you enter into some kind of agreement where you can sell to them or make arrangement with them and give them some incentive for bailing you out. So you're going to go to the mortgage broker. He can help you to get a loan, which is normally through the broker you have to pay fees, and also the cost of borrowing will be greater. If you're already in trouble with the prime rate that you got from the lender, if you're borrowing money from a broker, from the broker, paying fees and maybe a B lender, your fee will be higher, the interest rate will be higher.
Absolutely.
So you're digging a more hole. It would be a good idea to, if you can start thinking about selling the property instead of carrying this, and you will have a time you can negotiate with that too, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you may sort of approach the lender, maybe, and you just simply say, listen, I don't think that I'm going to be in good shape.
Yeah.
So what I'd really like to do is put the property on the market. And they may be quite agreeable to that.
Yeah, because what happened is that you know your financial conditions. how best you can handle this financial. You need a place to live for you and your family. You need a home shelter. So you have to see, under current circumstances, which are very challenging, very unusual, coronavirus has impacted us. We have a lockdown in Peel region. So likelihood of finding a job, creating an alternate job, making income to support your monthly expenses going to be challenging. So be smart. Think about that, whether it's possible to borrow money to do it. Is it possible to borrow, do a private deal with your friend or family? It's better to give it to your family member to have a house and you take your equity out. That's the one option. Second thing is you try to sell it through the MLS system to get the maximum deal. Yes. You may be able to save your equity, you may be able to make some profit. Or you talk to the lender, and then a worst scenario will be that you let it go, because as long as you have equity in there, you talk to a mortgage broker, you talk to a realtor, they find out and give you an idea of what is the value of your property. You look at the liability you have, how much equity is there, and what you can do about it. Professionals are there. Talk to your lawyer. He will guide you how to deal with it. Talk to your accountant. What are the tax implications? If it's a prime residence, it's a very different story. But you talk to a realtor, you talk to a mortgage broker, you talk to your lawyer and get an opinion, because they will tell you under which condition the provision in the Mortgage Act that you are being asked to vacate the property. There is a petition. I think there is a writ petition they have to file to ask them to leave, or how the process works.
Yes. So there's a, they can institute proceedings and get a writ of possession, which would be issued by the court, which would allow the mortgagee to take over and take occupancy. In most cases, they don't bother to do that. Yeah. They would simply indicate that they're taking power of sale proceedings. Yeah. And then they might decide to list the property. Again, not disturbing the owner. So the owner is still there and the property is listed for sale through a mortgagee. And until the actual sale takes place, the mortgage or still that is the owner, still has the right to pay up the arrears.
Okay, I have another question. Let's, in case this scenario happens, power of sale, and we have a tenant in the property, in those situations, what is the obligation of the tenant to leave the property or stays there, or is the future bank, because bank doesn't want to own the property, they're looking after their money, right? So in those situations, what would be the best advice that if that happens?
So there's two situations with tenants. So tenants who are commercial tenants,
yes,
often do not have the right to stay. So the mortgagee's rights are paramount in most cases.
Most cases.
When it comes to residential tenancies, the residential tenant has the right to stay. And they have, and that takes precedence over the mortgagee. Because the mortgagee doesn't actually plan to move in. Yeah. They just need to get their money out of the property.
Yeah, that's right.
So respecting that right, most of the time, the tenant can stay. However, there is a provision in the Mortgages Act which allows the mortgagee to go to court and set aside any improvident lease. So for example, you could see that an owner of a property who looked like they were going to be in arrears could go to their brother or sister or mother or father or family friend, bring them in at a low rental, $500 a month for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then that would have priority. No, the court has
look at the reasonableness.
Expected that might be something that people would do, and they would block that out.
I was even thinking about that in case that the tenant in this period, the tenant is not paying the money, and I believe the lender or the mortgagee has the right to collect their money.
Yes, directly.
So if it doesn't do that, that means it triggered that action from the court, I guess.
No, so they could demand the money directly. So that's usually the case with respect to commercial tenancies.
Yeah.
where they have the right under the mortgage to demand the funds directly from the tenant. And what that does is places the owner in further difficulty. All right, that's also the case with respect to residential. But again, because residential properties can be sold relatively quickly, most banks and institutional mortgagees don't bother to do that.
Okay, I have another question.
Yeah.
It's related to all the mortgages. Let's assume, viewers, that you went through the process, you did not pay, and bank has, you exercise the right under the Mortgage Act to put the property in the market for power of sale. Now, does the borrower has the right to sell parallel with the bank or
Yes.
lender?
So they can both have signs on the property at the same time.
Same time.
They're both trying to sell. Now, any reasonable buyer, knowing that there's two listings and that there's a high price, namely $900,000, which is the price being sought by the owner, that'll get them out and give them a nice profit. And then $795,000 being the price sought by the mortgagee. They're going directly to the mortgagee.
Yeah.
Say, I will buy it from the mortgagee rather than pay this top-up premium to
This is why
the owner.
Brian, I pointed out that if you have a family member and that you can talk with them, a friend who has the money, and if you make a deal, you take your equity. Equity is the money that you deserve. This is yours. The rest, everything is liability,
Yes.
a loan. If somebody can help you to get your equity out and you get your equity, you have saved yourself.
Oh, immensely.
Right? And paid that, because you don't need to pay any lawyer fee, you don't have to pay anything. We're going to talk about that later on. So let's assume, the viewers, that you have the power of sale situation. You have put a listing there for your sale at a higher amount, and like Brian said, the bank says, I want this much money. So in this process, there are three things will happen. You have a negotiated agreement, which is conditional, or you're going to have a firm deal, and depends who does that. We're going to talk about that, and then obviously a completion or transfer date where the title is transferred. So what are the redemption rights of the borrower, the person who is in default on payment, and at what stage of this game, and we're going to go one by one so people, our viewer, understand that. So what are the redemption rights? So let's define the rights they have in order to redeem themselves and back to own the property.
So the arrangement maybe goes on for quite some time. It doesn't mean while the mortgagee is trying to sell the property, they don't have a buyer. So they're looking around for a buyer, and they're looking around for a buyer at a fair price.
Yeah.
Because they owe a duty of good faith
Yes.
to the mortgagor to respect the amount of equity that they do have in the property. So they're trying to sell it at the maximum price on behalf of both of them. But they don't have to wait around forever. And so if the market goes down a little bit at a particular point in time, they don't have to say, well, we'll wait for 6 months and hope that the market improves. They can sell now at the reduced price. So right now we're looking at December, and prices would be less today than they would have been perhaps a month ago. The Toronto Real Estate Board just released numbers this morning indicating that the average sale price of a house, a single-family home in the GTA in November had dropped compared to what it was in October.
October was 10 point something.
Yeah, so it's dropped down slightly, and the expectation again is that it will drop further in December. So this is a very, very bad time, particularly for a homeowner who's facing power of sale, because it would be, you'd get November or December prices. A homeowner is going to say, hold it, can you wait until next May?
That's not going to happen.
But that's not available.
Yeah.
So what they can do is right up to the very point in time when the mortgagee has actually sold the property,
Yeah.
signed an agreement of purchase and sale. That's the point in time when they have a right to pay it all up.
So basically, the question is, at what time the right, and of course, what are the time redemption rights of the borrower ends, for example. So before we do that, we're going to talk about another topic is what happened to the proceeds of the power of sale when you have sold the property, and let's assume the bank has sold the property. What happened is a lengthy topic. We're going to, in a few minutes, we're going to have taking a break, and after we continue with that. So what happens to the proceed of the power of sale when the bank has sold the property?
So,
and
sure. Do you want me to respond to that now?
Yeah, just respond few minutes, then we'll continue with the after. We're going to take a break shortly after that.
Okay. Well, when the mortgagee gets the money in, they are under an obligation to. They've received the funds in trust, and they're under an obligation to distribute the funds. Now, first of all, they have to look at the title of the property, and it may very well be that there's somebody ahead of them in terms of having an interest. First of all, that's going to be municipal taxes. So they first had to take the municipal taxes and look at them to the extent.
I think the federal taxes are the first one.
No.
No?
No, that comes really at the end, and the owner's equity.
Okay.
So we then look at, so that's that amount. Then if they're the first mortgagee, they first apply the funds to their expenses. Then they apply the rest of the funds to interest that's outstanding on the mortgage. If there's still money available, they take the rest of it and apply it towards the principal. And then if they're all paid, they turn around and look at the title to the property again and say, what are we going to do with the rest of the money that we have here? So if there's a second mortgagee, they pay off the second mortgage. If there's a third mortgage, they pay off the third mortgage. Then if there's construction lien, for example, they would pay that. There may also be execution creditors. And then the execution creditors are pooled. They all throw their money in the pot, divide up how much is appropriate, and take a pro rata share.
Brian, this is very detailed. We're going to talk after the break. So, viewers, you're watching Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the world. We have a very interesting subject, understanding a power of sale transaction in real estate. And we're going to continue our conversation with our guest, Brian Madigan. Please call us. And if you want to have any question regarding this program, 647-484-0018. And we should take a short break, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Welcome to City Pro Realty. We are 100% Canadian family-owned real estate brokerage. If you are thinking of buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, think of us. Call us. We are one-stop solution provider for your real estate needs. Our passion is real estate. Your success is our priority. Our commission plans to meet your budget. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. A family serving family. To search for sale properties and free reports, visit www.citypro.net.
Foods, now open in Barhaven area, Ottawa. Pick up or dine in. Also available on Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, and DoorDash.
दो 2020 का लाजवाब ऑफर, जहां हम 0% फाइनेंसिंग पर आपकी मनपसंद कार दे रहे हैं, फ्री विंटर टायर्स और साथ ही हम मुफ्त ऑयल चेंज भी दे रहे हैं, वो भी उम्र भर के लिए। अभी आएं और इस लाजवाब ऑफर का लुत्फ लें। जल्दी करें, आपका खुशामदीद हमारे आउटलेट में, जो कि 60 क्वींस प्लेट ड्राइव एट इंटरसेक्शन क्लोज टू हाईवे 27 एंड रेक्सडेल अपोजिट टू वुडबाइन रेस ट्रैक। जल्द से जल्द इस ऑफर का लुत्फ लें। आज ही कॉल करें सुनील अग्रवाल को 647-703-0218। डिक्सी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स और अप्लायंसेस पिछले 16 सालों से खरीदारों की खिदमत कर रहे हैं। हम लगातार 4 सालों से खरीदारों की पहली पसंद बने रहने का अवार्ड हासिल कर चुके हैं। हम किचनर्स, बॉश, वर्लपूल, एलजी, सैमसंग और जनरल इलेक्ट्रिक के ऑथराइज्ड डीलर हैं। 5 स्टार खिदमत का लुत्फ लें। हम आप सभी को टीवी सबसे ज्यादा रियायती दामों पर देने की गारंटी देते हैं। www.dixieelectronics.ca हमारी वेबसाइट पर जाएं या अभी कॉल करें 905-625-5900। सभी बहुत ही मुनासिब कीमत पर दस्तयाब हैं, जो आप बाआसानी से ले सकते हैं। At Dixie, we sell quality and deliver confidence.
Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada around the world. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm your host. My panel guest is Brian Madigan. We are talking about power of sale. When you default on payment and you face consequences of your not paying the payment, your mortgage, your loan against the house, you get in trouble. The lender, the bank, has the right under the Mortgage Act, that agreement that you sign, it has a provision in there. They can exercise this right of power of sale if you default on payment. So we're discussing right now, the topic is that what happened to the proceed of the power of sale. Brian was talking to you before the break that how the money is collected and distributed. So we're going to continue that conversation where we left it. Brian, so...
Yes, so after all the debts that the mortgagee finds that apply in the circumstances, and they've distributed with any execution creditors, whatever is left over goes to the owner.
So how about the expenses, the lawyer expenses and all those
they
things?
come all right off the top.
Because
so they're first.
They're the first one, eh?
They're first. So the mortgagee is entitled to get all their money back, every expense. So they get their real estate commission that they had to pay.
Yeah.
They get any cleaning expenses.
So real estate commission probably is the lowest priority, isn't it, in this case? Or selling?
Well, given the fact that the power of sale proceedings are undertaken by the mortgagee, they have an obligation to pay the commission. So they make sure that that's paid right off the top.
Yeah.
So the only thing for a real estate agent to be worried about would be how much of the municipal taxes, because after that I'm going to be paid by my client, the bank.
So if there is a lien, let's assume that somebody has bought some equipment, a furnace and
Yes.
the air conditioning or maybe a tank, and we are seeing it right recently that in the property they are paying monthly under $200.
Yes.
Or there is a buyout when you're buying those property. Right. So in those cases, either the buyer will assume those if they're disclosed in the MLS and also negotiation, or the vendor assume that they're going to pay it and clean the property and give it to them?
Yes, in some cases. Now, one of the things is it's interesting that with rental items, they usually are not registered against the title to the property. While the rental agreement may provide that there's an opportunity to do so, the person who is provided that hot water tank or furnace doesn't take the step. They don't
Yeah.
bother to do that. In which case, they then have no rights
So
whatsoever.
they basically, if somebody done the renovation or finished the basement is a significant amount, they can put a lien on it, on the property?
Well,
or
yes, and they
if
can-
they borrow the money to build that renovation?
Yeah, no, it's not borrowed money, but it's the money that they actually expend to put in. So in that regard, if you had hired a contractor to do some work and then didn't pay them.
And this is a same example. Sometimes you see then in advertisement viewers that people will offer you, I will no pay for 1 year or 2 years, and we change all your window. A window will cost you $30,000.
Yes.
In those situations, what you can expect that our viewers watch and make sure that they don't do it to create that problem. What do you think?
Well, one of the things is the part of the marketing plan is we'll do all these renovations for free for a year, and then you start your payments. But it's not technically free. From time to time, the prices are really just double, and you don't know that for some considerable period of time, or have a look at the documentation. When it comes to power of sale, if a furnace arrives at the house, it's a chattel. And 2 hours later, after it's installed and part of the heating system, it's a fixture.
It's fiction.
Now, once it's a fixture, it's a fixture. And the person who provided it now no longer has any rights with respect to that furnace. Zero. All they have is the opportunity or the right, which is provided to them by statute, to file a lien, construction lien, representing the value of that furnace for the next 45 days. Most of the time, they don't do that. So a sale under power of sale, frequently the mortgagee would say, it's fine, it's a fixture. If they weren't paid, we don't care. They don't have the right. Now, if it happens to be represented by a construction lien, yes, they have to pay that. If it happens to be represented by a lien or a charge in the rental agreement, and the rental company has already taken that step and put it on the title of the property, then it has to be paid.
Viewers, you have understanding now that when the property is sold under power of sale, the proceed of money goes to the trustee, lawyer who is handling on behalf of the lender, and they make disbursement. So it's costly because everyone who is paid, done some work, they owe money, then all loan has to be paid. Lawyer fee will be significant fees there, all reimbursement. So you understand that if you take initiative and you be prudent and you protect your interests, then you have to make sure that you are safe, keeping the money, budgeting your home income and expenses to make sure essential payment toward your mortgage, your credit card or line of credit, everything is paid so you don't default. Second thing is, if you feel that under your current circumstances that you cannot make the payment in a certain period of time, then you think about selling the property. Who can buy your property? You talk to your family members. If nobody wants it or they cannot afford it, go to your friends. If you don't have any friends or they don't want to buy it, put in the property in the market before this happened. So because you know that if you don't make payment, you definitely going to leading yourself to this power of sale. And it's better to handle this property by talking to your realtor, talking to your mortgage broker, talking to your lender, where you borrow the money, to proact and prevent this power of sale. Once this goes power of sale, and you can see that you will be incurring a lot of cost, and your equity that you think you have will evaporate in a short period of time because lawyer fee will be tremendous and very costly, and other expenses that you have to bear reimbursement. And also when you owe money, the way they calculate it, they will have to bring you back to your interest payments, all default, everything pay back, and then you have to pay out your principal. I think the interest payment, everything has to be paid to bring the mortgage to the good standing before they pay off the loan. So there's a more calculation in terms of how to pay this.
Yes. Now, if you're bringing it into good standing, you have the right to do that right up until the point in time when the property is sold.
No, even the calculation, what they do is in terms of priorities.
Yes.
They say that lender has to bring you back to the point of good, and if they incur any cost, the loan money,
Yes.
and they have to pay interest on it, be you good standing, then they will apply your principal that is owed. And that way you are able to lose, you will be paying money, what you owe, plus the interest that
Yes.
on the money that you didn't pay.
Yes.
So that's why it's very costly. So we're going to avoid, we're going to request all of you to be prudent and avoid making this mistake of power of sale. So now one thing we're going to talk about is when you're going through the process of power of sale, and some people have all questions today, and we're going to talk about it. When the rights of redemption of the buyer are terminated, is it terminated at the time of a sold conditional property, or sold firm property, or at the transfer of title, which is closing date? So I need your expert opinion on that.
Okay, so the Ontario Court of Appeal looked at this situation in 1999 and made a decision that a conditional sale was not sufficient, but an unconditional sale was sufficient.
So that means firm deal, basically.
So that was the case. Okay. And the circumstances that they were looking at was a unconditional sale. Now, a little more recently, 2016, a Superior Court judge looked at a similar type of situation and said that, and analyzed it very, very carefully, and said an unconditional sale or a conditional sale would be sufficient, so that the interest of someone who surfaced as a buyer and put in an offer on a property and had a condition on financing and a condition on home inspection, they would have priority over the homeowner.
Okay.
All right. So if they firmed up, it just meant that the deal was going to definitely be completed. But they would have priority. So what that would do in many cases is encourage people to come forward, because sometimes people would avoid power of sales because they would find it a little risky. Oh, I don't want the homeowner to be able to just pay it off, and I've spent all this money trying to track it down, and I lose the opportunity to bid on another property, and I'm tied up with this for a month or two, and then I just get my deposit back. They don't want to do that.
So viewers, there was always a lack of clarity at what time the bank sell the property and the right of borrower is terminated. So Brian has indicated there was a decision in 2016 in Ontario Superior Court that said even if you put a conditional offer that has been accepted, is considered as a norm, provided that this person who have put an offer remove those conditions in the future and firm the deal. So basically, your right of redemption terminates at that stage. I highly recommend, if you have this situation, please consult with your lawyer, because they are the competent authority and have the jurisdiction to explain you, because each circumstance could be different. So each case by case is different, and depending on how you are dealing with it. The most important purpose of tonight's show was to educate you to avoid and pay attention to your payment toward your mortgage and line of credit that you have, home equity line that relates directly with your house to make your payment. So I am hoping that you have opportunity to listen to this program. You can watch this program on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram Live, and we appreciate that. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. we have a Realty Coffee Talk. If you have any interest of any topic of interest that you want to talk about us, please send us an email, contact us, send us a message from the Awaz Entertainment live Facebook page. You can send us, or you can call us 647-484-0018, and we'll be glad to include those topics. So I will, at this moment, we're about to close our program. As you know, in Peel region, we have a lockdown, and we want all of our viewers to please be safe, keep social distance, wear mask, and avoid crowd to be safe. And we also pray and appreciate the effort of our medical staff, doctors, nurses, police officers, who are there putting their life online to protect fellow citizens. We thank you very much. May God bless you all, and may God bless Canada. Thank you. Bye for now.